How do people around the world think of Oregon? They think of mountains and beautiful green trees and beaches and salmon. That image, that's part of our neighborhood, it's part of our identity. And if we allow this state, the landscape, the waters, to change so that those fish can't survive here, to me it means we have not taken care of our neighborhood. We haven't taken care of our community. And for me, it's not just about salmon, it's about farms, it's about forestry, it's about the culture of fishing. All those things, I believe, require healthy watersheds. If we care for our watersheds, our neighborhood, in a fashion that will allow salmon to survive, I think we can still have healthy, productive farms. We can still have healthy timber production. When things start deteriorating to the point that salmon aren't making it, I'm not sure that those other, culturally based, commodity-based ways of life are safe either. Now, I can't go so far as to say that salmon are a canary in the coal mine. If there isn't enough oxygen in the mine, canary falls over, you're in trouble. Spiritually, that's what salmon mean to me. As a scientist, I can't make such a clean example. All the people here in Oregon are responsible in some way, partly for the difficulties salmon have surviving. We've all benefited from inexpensive power. We've benefited from having reasonably priced lumber, paper products, agricultural products, transportation. Where do we build all our roads? Right alongside streams. We do all kinds of things for human convenience, and that's great. And now, 150 years later, we look around and say, my gosh, we've changed the landscape. And we is all of us.
I think it's really a remarkable thing to be alive on this planet. I think it's one of the most amazing things that could ever happen to somebody, was just to get to be here. And to be here and see a way in which you might be able to help make it better, or make it more likely that some of the wonderful things here will be able to keep going, and then to fail to do whatever it is that you think you might be able to do to help, to me is unconscionable. And I don't want to come across as being particularly high-principled, because I'm not. It's more that I know how terrible I would feel if I weren't doing something. It's not so much that we know why we're doing this, but we can't not do it. We would feel that we are somehow abdicating our responsibility to ourselves, or our responsibility to whatever it is that put us here in the first place, if we were off just making money in some way that had no payback to the community or to the planet. Yes, people do need to make a living. Yes, this is a beautiful place to live, and people are entitled to live here. You don't have to all go move back east or something if your family's been here for 5 generations. But there are maybe some things that you could do to make it more likely that your kids are going to be able to live here too.
The big declines in Columbia River salmon started in the 19th century. The kinds of places that feed into prime salmon habitat are the same kind of places that human beings like. And that started right from the beginning. And some people became concerned about it right from the beginning. There were a few voices calling for salmon restoration starting in the 1880s. So we've been trying to take some or another look at salmon restoration for generations and generations. Salmon are the perfect example of a sustainable resource. Now, we're not sustaining them. But if we really took care of the landscapes to which salmon are adapted, the salmon would return every year into perpetuity. And that's what they've done for the last couple of million years. That's what they would do for a couple of million years into the future if we were to take care of the landscapes, the watersheds to which they are adapted. Sure, we may not have to live within the limits of Mother Nature. We may be able to get away with creating a whole new man-made ecosystem, and maybe that'll work. But I think that's not likely. I think that the much more likely possibility is that we ultimately have to learn to live within the limits of the natural systems that evolved here. It's very hard to put the health of the natural system ahead of your family. I mean, I wouldn't expect anybody to do that. But I think in some ways the health of your family does depend on the health of the natural system. The health of the natural systems are ultimately what sustains us and what sustains our families. And in the short run, of course, we put our kids first. In the long run, there's probably no difference between the health of the salmon and the health of our kids.
In each of our lives, if we can, it's nice to be able to give something back. Some people give back by helping disabled people, and they're wonderful, heroic people that do that. I guess my little bit is to give back by, providing a little bit more of a habitat area on this property that I own. That's kind of where my heart is in it, I guess. I think the important population of people that are involved are people like me who are the landowners, and in a lot of cases we're clueless about what we need to do. So we go to an organization like the watershed associations who have the resources and the experts that they can go to, and they're kind of the hands-on people who can come out and give me advice for things that I want to do. They've been willing up to this point to do a lot of the work that I would like to do if I had time. I think the general public should show an interest in what's happening because to a degree it's some of their money that's being spent to do some of this work, and they should have some knowledge that that money is being spent well, which I think it is. They also benefit because it's one more little piece that makes the state continue being like I've always enjoyed it being. I'm a native Oregonian, and resources they're kind of the heart of the state.
I really respect fish. They're beautiful. You can take a salmon population and see how, for example, how wonderful nature is because they've adapted to that specific river system. And they've been there for 2 million years. My grandmother really loved fish, and that was something that was very important to her, for us to go to a river, a body of water, and watch fish jump. My grandfather fished at Celilo, and my family on my mother's side all fished. They were fishers. One of the things that happened with the kind of tribal recognition of systems thinking is that you acknowledge the presence of this salmon being. And the first salmon ceremony is essentially to pay respect and to let the salmon people know that you're not going to, take their life without conscience. Then the other part of it is that there's a management that accompanies that. They can't take any salmon until the first salmon is recognized. I think the piece of it that I like too is that the people always talk about them as our relatives, and that there is a intelligence in everything, and you respect that and communicate with it.
We're doing the kind of work that is a stopgap measure so that we can get some fish back so that they can survive while nature repairs herself. And I don't know. I think this is first aid. I think it's ER work. We got an environment that's in cardiac arrest. Putting logs and boulders and planting trees along the banks and fencing the livestock out of the creek. That's CPR. And maybe we can get enough fish and enough clean water and enough habitat that we can outnumber some of the other factors. This might be the one chance I get in my life to do something that'll be appreciated 500 years from now, if it works. And if it doesn't work, maybe they'll think, well, there's some guys that try.